FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Further, but I get the impression that kind of view as it is to come to celebrate my birthday and all, that probably it wouldn't have been quite like this a couple of years ago. I think there's a change in the zeitgeist going on, and I have every reason to think that what I say is correct. Professors Dawkins and Dennett, who I've both mentioned, and Sam Harris, who I could add, my other musketeer, have all found in the recent past that there's a large audience now for a bit of a resistance to clerical bullying and religious lecturing and self-righteousness and nastiness and menace. That we've had about enough of all this. Open a page of any newspaper and just see what you get. His Holiness the Pope, having just repudiated limbo after a long struggle, the place where the souls of unbaptized children always went apparently was never there. Tell it, no, but it's serious. Tell it to the parents of those children. I've met them. The people who thought that's where their poor kids had gone, having died before they could breathe properly, that's where they thought they were. It was real to them. What casuistry is this to say, oh, it wasn't really real after we made that bit up? They can't do this. It was real. It was a real place for those parents. And for the brothers and sisters of those children too. They wept at the thought of where the little one had gone. And to say, oh, never mind. By the way, we were wrong about this, but we're now ready to be infallible all over again. This is disgusting. And in the same week as he does this, the Pope repeats that we need to teach the children more about hell. Go back again to terrify the composure of the young and the innocent with these horrifying stories told them by maladjusted elderly virgins. This is wicked. This is wickedness. And we know the consequences of that, which are described in my book as follows, because I render it in Latin. No child's behind left. Crimes are committed that none of us would think of committing, but are allowed to those of faith. And AIDS in Africa, says His Holiness, may be bad, but nothing like as bad as a condom. This is not morality. Meanwhile, our Supreme Court refuses to say, as it should, that not one American dollar can be used ever for the establishment of the Jewish religion on the west bank of the Jordan River. We will not have people who want to bring on Armageddon and the Messiah. We will not treat them as friends or as allies. We should recognize them as enemies, those who look forward eagerly to the destruction of our species and our world. That Danish cartoonist can't do his job in Copenhagen without being threatened with death, and his nation's tiny economy and democracy threatened with violence and coercion is bad enough. That not one American news outlet would reprint those cartoons out of sheer fear. Sheer fear and cowardice is worse. And that Borders Books should pull from the magazine rack, the only magazine that I write for, it's called The Free Inquiry, I recommend it to you, would say, oh, well, we know what to do about that, we're not selling it, is even worse. How much more of this are we going to put up with? That people will come and say, we insist on teaching pseudoscience to your children in American schools with taxpayers' money. What is this? Children, the astronomy class is over. Can you now get ready for the astrology period? They want equal time? They don't want equal time. They want a dictatorship of pseudoscience and garbage. The chemistry class is over, but after the break, we'll be doing alchemy. Unless, on a condition that I propose, since George Bush in his wisdom, the man who said that Vladimir Putin is a good man because he wears a crucifix round his neck in a strong field, the stupidest thing the president has yet said, a man of faith, says that the faith-based initiative may give government money to churches, the government looks after the state looks after the rich, the churches can look after the poor, and tax breaks are given to religious institutions, very well equal time, all right, equal time. All of those churches in receipt of subsidy or tax break must now teach evolution half the time in their Sunday schools, in their religious services, and distribute the literature in their church porches. Is that what they want? I doubt it, but don't fail to take them up on it, because that's what I'm talking about. We have to fight back now. We have the consolations of humor and irony, and we have a better tradition than they do. It goes back to Democritus and Epicurus and Lucretius, and it goes through Galileo and Newton and Spinoza and Voltaire and Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine and Albert Einstein. We have a tradition that by all means understands about the transcendent, about the awe-inspiring. We have the Hubble telescope. We have the pages of Stephen Hawking. We have the extraordinary ethical scientism of Albert Einstein. We have nothing to be ashamed of. We have something really nutritious, the beauties of science and reason and the consolations of philosophy to offer people, and we're expected to be impressed by those who talk about the burning bush.